Imagine you're in the heart of the city. Buildings all around you, towering skyscrapers, cars honking, trying to move the traffic along. Then there's people talking, some of them even shouting. Then there's the beeps of the heavy vehicles as they try to reverse. You are essentially in the middle of a concrete jungle, which is good. You wanted to be here. You've never visited here before, and it's your first time, so you were excited. And then you feel your friend shake you. Do you want to go? He asks. You're confused. Go where? You were so mesmerized with the city that you weren't exactly paying attention to what your friend was saying. Your friend leans close. The haunted house. He's all excited, jumping up and down on his feet. Now you're even more confused. You're in the middle of a city. Why on earth would you want to go to the middle of nowhere and roam around the haunted house for a ghost that would probably be entirely made up? So you look at your friend a bit incredulously, like, why would you even ask me that? Of course not. I don't want to go to the middle of nowhere for a ghost. I want to see the city. But your friend says, we don't have to leave the city for this haunted house. The haunted house is in the city. You shake your head. What kind of haunted house is in the city? Cities are ever evolving. There's not much chance for a ghost to remain in one spot, so you just roll your eyes. But your friend insists. He grabs your hand and drags you. You can't exactly stop your friend right now, especially when he gets like this, so you humor him. It's just one morning, and so you and your friend go down street after street until you stop in front of a relatively normal-looking building. Honestly, it's blended into the surroundings. In fact, nothing about the building screams haunted to you. Well, except for the fact that your friend is positively vibrating with excitement. You ask your friend, where is this haunted house that you're so excited about? And your friend turns to you, pointing at the house you guys are standing right in front of, and says, this is the haunted house. Welcome to Chaonei number 81, sometimes referred to as the house that never dies, located at 81 Chaoyangmen Inner Street in Beijing. So sit down, grab a snack, and let me tell you a tale of love, betrayal, and grief, all culminating into a haunting that lasts generations. A long ago in Beijing, during the Chinese Civil War, sometime in the late 1940s, Beijing was occupied by the National Revolutionary Army. It is said that an officer of the regiment lived in the building that is now called Chaonei number 81. He lived with his wife, his kids, and also his pregnant mistress in the same house. They lived rather peacefully, or as peacefully as one could live when there is a civil war right outside your door. And as the war went on and the army of the Communist Party began to advance into the city, the officer and his soldiers, they prepared to flee to Taiwan. Except when the time actually came for them to leave, the officer only prepares to take with him his wife and the two kids that he considered were his legitimate children. His mistress pleads and begs him to let her come as well, if not for her, at least for their unborn child. But the officer is steadfast. He is adamant that only his wife and his legitimate children will go along with him. And so, they all left for Taiwan, leaving the pregnant mistress behind. But that meant the pregnant mistress was left to whatever fate the communist soldiers advancing in would have subjected her to. And the stories that she was told only spoke of a very grim fate. She did not want to face that, and she was terrified what would happen to not only her, but their unborn child. And she was completely heartbroken by her lover's betrayal. How could he do this to her? She trusted him. How could he discard her and their unborn child so carelessly? She was utterly destroyed, and in grief and fear for the future, she goes up to the rafters and hangs herself. It is said that the ghost that haunts the building to this day is the spirit of the mistress roaming the mansion, weeping for a lover that never considered her and for a baby that would never come. Some of the local lore near and around Chaonei 81 state that they can still hear screams and wails coming from the building during storms. But is the story real though? The mansion itself is this brick building that is built in a French Baroque style. There are no records of who actually built it. In fact, the building itself was used for many government offices during the Cultural Revolution. It was occupied by the Red Guards for a while. The Red Guards were these paramilitary organizations that were led by students during the time of Mao Zedong. Some people use that as a basis to say, see, the stories behind the hauntings are real. But there were no records of officers living with their families there. And after that, the building was sold to the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Beijing. But when they came to know of the lore behind the house, they investigated the history only to find that the story is completely false, and that there were no written records of an officer from the National Revolutionary Army ever being stationed there, much less living there with his family or his pregnant mistress. So, if all the records do not support the story, and the story is said to be false, why is it that there have been so many allegations of disappearances associated with the house? The house doesn't seem to care whether the person is a British priest who is said to have finished the construction of the main building just to vanish only days later, or a random paranormal investigator just coming in to satiate their curiosity. What I don't understand is, if the story happened a long time ago after the construction of the building during the Chinese Civil War, how did the house already have victims since the day it was built? Was the building just cursed from the start? There was also another story of 3 drunk construction workers that broke into the building one night after they were completely drunk. Except, they were never seen again. And in the present day, any urban explorer that got into the building say that they experience a sense of unease, like dread, or a feeling of being watched the entire time they're inside. And some say that during the summertime, even with all the sweltering heat outside, the inside of the house is surprisingly always cold. But due to the myth that surrounds the building though, it was getting almost impossible to sell the building. They have tried lowering the price of the building, but the Archdiocese states that even after a renovation that would have costed $1.5 million, it would still deter any potential buyers from buying it, even though all the other buildings surrounding them would have cost way more. But the popularity of the house has grown even more though, especially after China released a horror movie based on the story that is associated with the haunting. The movie is called The House That Never Dies. However, as of now, there is a chalkboard that sits right beside the main entrance to the building that says there are no ghosts inside. Which to me sounds like something a ghost would say, but hey, what do I know? Anyway, that's all for today. See you in the next one. Until then, sweet dreams, good night.